I've got loads of statistics here, notes and all sorts of stuff. Half the time it's a waste of time, complete waste of time. Because the real issue in this referendum I've decided, just me, this is what I think, I might be wrong. The issue is trust, okay? Give you a wee example. Pensions and statistics, got loads of them there. I can tell you all the reasons why our pensions are safe, why everything's going to be fine, why it's all scare stories and there's nothing to worry about. I could tell you that. And last week, Steve Webb, a government minister, sat in a committee room in Westminster and told the world that. He actually said that it's fine, there's nothing to worry about. If you've paid your national insurance and you've paid your taxes, it's your pension, nobody can take it off you. If anybody in this room decided to go and live in France or wherever, he said France in his example, then you would get your pension. He said there's absolutely nothing to worry about. But still we hear all about pensions being this major issue. How is it going to be paid, and is it going to be paid in pounds and all the rest of it? Because quite simply, we don't believe them. We don't believe any good news. We'll jump in the bad news, we don't believe the good news. Danny Alexander was up here last week, rabbiting on, misquoting figures left, right and centre. He was trying to correct the mistakes the government had just made in their figures. 2.7 billion start-up costs for us to create our government and our civil service and our institution. Claiming there's 180 new departments needing to be set up, which is a wee bit bizarre. You come? All right, thanks for coming. So Danny Alexander and all his pals at Westminster are saying we are going to need 180 government departments, right? Now, strangely, Westminster has 24. So why we need 180, I don't know. So they came up with 2.7 billion, and these figures got slaughtered straight away. And then Danny Alexander starts rabbiting on about, okay, we made a wee mistake, we did the sums wrong, it's 1.5 billion. Now, the real issue is that the man who wrote the report that the government was working on was a guy called Professor Dunleavy, and he works at London School of Economics, and he ridiculed the government statistics. But we won't believe that professor. We'll keep believing the government. I had a conversation with an old man yesterday, and he quoted these figures. Straight away I tried to say to him, who's telling you that? His reply was that I was being aggressive. I'm some sort of crazy cybernat because I'm trying to ask him to think. The Financial Times also came out and back what Dunleavy said and ridiculed the government statistics. The BBC, the British government, that's who we listen to. We ignore the Financial Times, we ignore the people that write these reports. And we've got too many people in this country who will leap on the first excuse to cast it down, and then that's the thing that you're going to use to vote no. What they're missing is the fact that the BBC, the bringer of truth, are actually our enemy in this, because the clue's in the title, British Broadcasting Corporation. They are owned and run by the people who are terrified that we're going to leave. But we trust them, and we won't trust ourselves. The Norwegians, the Americans, the Canadians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, all of them cannot believe that we're even thinking about this, that there's this big hesitation, and that we might have this no vote. The UK is drowning, and we could kick for the surface, and we won't do it. We've got this new expression, I'm seeing it in Facebook and stuff, just say no. As if it's something to be proud of, just say no. People are laughing about it, hee-hawing, as if this whole thing's a joke. What are we saying no to? And who are we saying no to? Ourselves. And quite frankly, I find it astounding. A wee woman the other night told me she doesn't like change. Change is coming. The question is, are you going to spectate while somebody else makes those changes, or are you going to take control of the wheel? The UK government to me is a bit like we're stuck in the back seat of a car, and it's doing 90 miles an hour down the bypass. And the person driving is doing this as they drive. And that's not certainty. The UK is not okay. Every day is an opportunity in life. Change is an opportunity. And this is an opportunity for all of us to do something different. If you were to look around you, the people in the room, and I'd like you to do that just now, just have a look round about, if you don't mind. Have a wee look. I'm not going to get to shake hands and say hello, right? But that's who's in this together. The people who are better together are the bankers that are sucking us dry. We are all going to look after each other. We are taxpayers. And where we have unemployed people, we will create taxpayers. Our taxes won't go up. We will pay taxes, we will pay pensions. We will invest that money in the future for our grandchildren. That's what we will do. This is what this is really about. But we don't seem to trust each other. We accept labels like scoundrels. We need to start trusting ourselves. Scotland's the 14th richest country in the world. The OECD tell us that. Now that's the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, and you'll see I had to read it off my notice there, because I got it wrong yesterday telling somebody. They're a big fancy, high-powered, neutral organisation, but we don't believe them. 33% child poverty in this country. Do you believe that? It's 60% in the East End of Glasgow. In Denmark it's 9%. We Denmark. In Norway it's 10%. Norway's got an oil fund, 500 billion. It took them 20 years to build it. Malcolm Webb is the Chief Executive of Oil and Gas UK. He says, no me, there's 50 years of oil and gas left in the North Sea. Never mind what's out there in the West Coast. Probably about the same amount when you think about that and you go up to Argyle and it's there, and we know it's there. But let's just talk about the North Sea. Let's say this oil fund that we set up, let's say we don't put a penny in it for 10 years because we're fixing the mess. That leaves 40 years in the North Sea. Now I'm quite good at arithmetic. That's 2 oil funds in 40 years. It's a bit like having the golden goose. And we're told that oil's volatile. I don't really care if the golden goose lays a slightly smaller golden egg one day and then a slightly bigger egg the next day. It's still the golden goose. It's like winning the lottery ticket and then not believing you've won it. On top of that, we'll still be working as a country. That's just one industry. It's the bonus. There's an oil rig drilling off Antrim next year, but we'll not believe that either. We've got all these renewables, we've got a lot of house building we need to do, we've got Franklin D. Roosevelt to fall back on. If you invest $1 in your economy, it goes round 7 times, and we still won't see that that's possible. Let's just say the government's half right. Okay, they want to try and improve things. Yes means we try and go forward. No means we're not going to go forward. I don't believe they're empty promises. I think we take control and we make our promises a reality. If the Scottish Government's half right, we'd only have 20,000 extra renewable jobs. Corporation tax being cut would only create another 13,000 jobs. If we built half the houses that we should build, and we tackle homelessness and the bedroom tax, how many modern apprenticeships is that? How many years of rent would that be? How many jobs maintaining these houses? But we don't want to go and find out if we can do that. If we only had 12.5% of the renewables for the whole of Europe, that would still be a massive contribution, a never-ending energy source that we would export, but we don't seem to want it. All of that changed a lot of opportunity. Norway owns 2% of the shares in the whole world. The Chinese and Americans are in hock to the Norwegians. If we go halfway towards being them, we'll own 1% of the world's wealth, and that's our wee side fund, our wee bonus, on top of everything else we keep doing. But no, we're just shabby car salesmen trying to sell you a dumb deal, a bum deal. What we really should be doing is take control of what's ours. The pound, we're worried about the pound. Ireland had a war in 1922 and they still kept the pound, and they used it until 1980 when they opted out. You can have the Scottish pound and peg it to the UK pound, 1 for 1, and nobody can stop you. The Danes do it already, but we think we're going to get our pound taken off us. They can keep their currency union if they like. I don't really care. I think we should have the pound and it's ours. We don't need a currency union. They need it more than us. We're going to get made to take the euro. Sweden's the proof that you're not. Sweden are in the European Union. It's an empty promise. It's like a rolling contract. Yes, at some point in the future we will take the euro. The Swedes will never take the euro until the Swedes are ready to take it. And the Scots will never take the euro unless we ever decide to take it. We could leave the European Union. Let's go in it for 5 or 10 years. They'll let us in. We're 5 million customers. We're European citizens. We've got rights. In 5 or 10 years' time, if we've had enough, we'll leave. But if we stay in this union right now, we will be dragged out. No matter how we vote. All of us could vote to stay in the European Union, and we won't be in it any longer if we stay in the UK, because England's going to vote us out. And I'm not bashing England, but that's the strongest place for its anti. The European Union. We countries go bankrupt, don't they? Iceland and Ireland went bankrupt. Well, Iceland jailed its bankers, and Ireland paid all its debts. Iceland came out of the debt first. Sweden didn't have a banking crisis because they had their own 25 years ago, and they regulated and fixed their banks. Has the UK regulated anything to do with the banks in the last 5 years? Have we got another housing bubble coming? Is it going to happen again? Another crash? And we're going to sit and watch and get dragged into it. But again, you still won't trust what I'm saying. You'll keep going with these guys that seem to know best. And if you find one thing that proves us wrong today, some people think, see, I'm voting no, there's my proof, and ignore the 19 other things that we could consider that are possible potential improvements in our lives. September the 18th, we're going to get a personal question asked of us. And Jim Sillars, in a wee speech recently, said, well, me waking up that day at 7 o'clock in the morning, it'll be the most different day of your life. It'll be a unique day in Scottish history, because Scottish people will be in charge for the first time. The lords, the parcel of rogues that sold us down the river in 1707, were the only people who had a say, a couple of hundred of them. Millions of us are going to decide. Ordinary people will be in charge. When you go to bed that night, don't go to bed handing that power away again. Okay, I'm going to finish now. I've spoken far too long. You need to think of the possibilities, right? We've got a chance to grab some freedom, and that's a brave heart type word. But your grandchildren will benefit from you making that choice, because they will have a country that they can choose to take in their direction for the centuries to come. They can be our grandchildren rather than Thatcher's grandchildren if we do the right thing for them. This is unborn children we're talking about. I'm going to say one last thing to you. R.B. Cunningham Graham has a wee quote. He was one of the founders of the Scottish National Party, which I'm not a member of. And he said, the enemies of Scottish nationalism are not the English, for they were ever a great and generous folk, quick to respond when justice calls. Our real enemies are among us, born without imagination. So use your imagination September 18th. Thank you.